Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty leagues, PPR leagues, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Marc Souza. I am with Jeff Malinoff. How's it going, Jeff?
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into stardoms and situms for this week 9 in the NFL. We have some bye weeks. It's an interesting week. It's tricky. You might be here for the first time. If you are, subscribe. Go ahead. Follow us. We do this every week, Monday and Friday, Fantasy Football Podcast. Me and Jeff also do the football podcast. We also do sports, basketball, soccer.
All your sports needs for GSMC Podcast Network, and we are probably hosting them.
Yes. So, again, it's week 9 in the NFL. Before we jump into stardoms and situms for the quarterback position, Jeff, I want to talk to you. Is Nick Mullins your number one waiver wire pickup of the week?
No.
No?
No.
But did you see what he did?
I love the guy. He's a great player, but we have to take a chill pill because we don't even know he's going to start next week.
Yeah.
If he does start, yes.
So
if he doesn't, no.
A fantasy disappointment for me yesterday was Matt Breida. I started him in a couple leagues. He had less than 5 points. Playing a bad Raiders defense. I did not expect the Niners offense to be scoring that much. I also didn't know they'd throw for that many yards and score that many points through the air. So, unfortunately for me, it did not work out. But it's okay. It's only one player. There's other players in your lineup that can make a difference. And that goes for everybody out there. Some days, sometimes the play is right, the matchup is right, but it just all goes downhill. But it's okay because you might have one of those unexpectedly good games from a starter of yours. So, Jeff, we got to get into it. Start him and sit him. We're going to go with the quarterback position.
We're starting off hot.
We're going to start off with the quarterback position first. Remember, this is a big bye week. There are players. This is our most important stardom, sit him yet. So, who is your quarterback that you are starting this week that might not be an obvious pick?
May not be an obvious pick?
Yes.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Trubisky, you're starting him.
Yes, I am, because he's
Very
facing the Buffalo Bills.
But the Bills have a good defense.
But he's had she's shown some flash in the past, and the Bills may be okay when it comes to defense, but I would still say that Trubisky has a good day.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at least 20 points.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying there. At least 20 points. Interesting. My first stardom of the week, it might seem obvious, but it is a player that got picked up on the waiver wires this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick. You have to start him. Until he doesn't throw for 400 yards in a game, you just start him every week. I don't care who the opponent is. Panthers have given up multiple touchdowns through the air in every single game this season. I believe -1, but they are a leaky pass defense. It should be a high-scoring game. That's what you want with these quarterbacks, especially the streaming quarterbacks. You want the high-scoring games, back and forth. You want pass after pass after pass. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who's your second stardom quarterback of the week?
My second stardom?
Yes.
Well, this one may sound obvious, But, all right, I'm going to go Jared Goff. I know it sounds obvious.
Mm-hmm, it's obvious, huh?
But the fact of the matter is, he's been on a tear.
He should have a big game.
Yeah. And I know he's playing a New Orleans Saints defense that's not very good, but still, it's like sometimes you just got to go with the most obvious. He's probably your starter until otherwise, until a bye week or something. But the fact of the matter is, he is playing great football, and Gurley needs some rest off some snaps, and I think you can take full advantage of the poor defense the Saints have been playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. My second stardom at quarterback, a player that you could probably get off the waiver wire right now, is Alex Smith. Alex Smith, Washington Redskins. The Falcons' pass defense is terrible. The Falcons are usually worse on the road than at home. Alex Smith is not the most intriguing player. I completely understand. He's been under 20 fantasy points for, I think, every fantasy game this year so far, and that's probably why he's on the waivers for you to pick up. But I like the matchup. I actually think the Falcons will score a little bit more than maybe some people expect. Look for Alex Smith to get 2 touchdown passes. I like him to eclipse 20 points. Of course, that's not saying that he'll have a great game, but for fantasy football perspective,
That's still pretty solid.
Especially if you have a quarterback on a bye week. If you're just looking for something from that position, I think you can do much worse than Alex Smith this week. So, do you have any more quarterbacks that you think that you would start this week?
I think the rest are kind of straightforward.
I have 2 more quarterbacks that I think.
Start?
I think Matt Ryan is startable this week. I know that they're playing on the road and they're outdoors, which makes the Falcons' offense a lot different. But the Redskins' pass defense is not the best. Their run defense is very stout. So I think there are points to be had here, especially if they're playing from behind, which I kind of expect. So I think Matt Ryan's a decent play. I know some people are probably, if you're in a 10 to 12 team league, you're probably like, I don't know, should I start him? I would start him over guys like Matt Stafford, Joe Flacco, of course. If you're thinking about somebody off the waiver wire, unless it's like Fitzpatrick, I think I would just go with Matt Ryan. So my last stardom is Dak Prescott. Monday Night Football. He's been playing better as of late. At home, he's a different quarterback. At home, he plays much better. He produces a lot more points fantasy-wise. The Titans have a decent defense, but what I like in this game is I like the Cowboys' defense to control the offense of Tennessee, putting Dak and that offense in positions to succeed. So
you're going to be interested by my sit-em.
I think you will be interested by my sit-em. So with that being said, Jeff, go ahead and tell me your sit-em.
Dak Prescott.
Okay, tell me why.
Mainly because of just his inconsistency is honestly a concern to me. And I know he scored 20-plus fantasy points in his last 2 games, but the fact of the matter is his inconsistency. When he drops like a rock in the water. You know what I mean? Like he can have up to like 4 or 5 points a game. He's had that this season. And for him against Tennessee, this defense has only allowed just 10 total touchdowns, which is 9th fewest in fantasy. So this Tennessee defense is still pretty solid, and against this Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to say sit them.
Yeah. I think Dak will have a good game, but I understand your concern. I do think that he has a very volatile output. Like, he could go 8 points, I wouldn't be surprised. He could go 25, I wouldn't be surprised. So I do understand your concerns. I think in this game, he'll be okay, but I totally get why you would avoid him. My first sit-em, would you like to hear? Mitchell Trubisky.
No.
Mitchell Trubisky. You had him as a stardom. I don't agree at all because...
Well, that's the beauty of this podcast. We can disagree.
The Bills' defense is very good, especially pass defense. And Should be a low-scoring football game. I don't want a quarterback in that game. I want a quarterback in high-scoring games. I do not want a 20-13 or 25-20 quarterback. I want the quarterback that's going to be 30 points or more. But I understand why you say that, because you did predict the Bears would win this game 35-10, but you also said there'd be 2 pick sixes. So I'm not sure. What do you expect from Trubisky? What is your point range that you're expecting from him? Because I say under 20.
I say over 20.
Okay. I'd say probably 17 or 18, but we'll see. Who's your second sit-em?
My second sit-em?
Mm-hmm.
My second sit-em. You might be surprised by this.
I'm surprised by nothing that comes out of your mouth.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means you say some weird stuff. Go ahead.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You just predicted the Bucs to beat the Panthers and that they'd score 38 points.
Yes.
So where's the disconnect?
It's gonna be a running back situation where whoever there's different running. They don't put in like the same running back.
Peyton Barber is the guy, yeah.
Well, I know Peyton Barber, but they always have a backup or two, and I feel like some of those guys are going to get a lot of carries against this team that is not the best at run defense.
Okay, so no on Fitzpatrick, but yes on Bucs running back. So
yes,
my second sit-em at quarterback.
You're going to be shocked by my sit-em running backs. I'm just kidding.
My second sit-em at quarterback is Phillip Rivers, and the reason why I don't like Phillip Rivers this week, Seattle. They are not the Legion of Boom anymore, but they are in the top 3 in pass defense in the NFL. The Legion of Whom is what they're calling themselves.
The Legion of Whom? I kind of like that, to be honest.
And the fact is, they have a good pass defense, and they're playing at home in Seattle. So it's going to be tough for Rivers. Rivers is going to have to deal with the crowd. He's going to have to deal with a lot of different things. So, in a normal circumstance, if they were playing in LA, I would say probably play them, but they're not. So I say sit Phillip Rivers this week. So why don't we move on to running backs, Jeff? You having any interesting stardoms at running back?
Interesting stardoms at running back. Now, that might be interesting because I'm going to say Latavius Murray.
Start Latavius Murray against Detroit. Okay. So you expect him to have a good game?
Yes, because the Lions have surrendered 5.5 yards per rush.
What if Dalvin Cook plays?
I'm still saying start Murray because I don't think they're going to give him all the snaps.
Yeah, I don't think Cook will play, but it sounds like he's begging to.
He wants to play, but I think they'll limit his snaps if he does play.
All right, so you have Latavius Murray. I have Peyton Barber as a stardom. You just talked about it. I'll make it simple. I don't think Barber is a good football player, but I think he's in a good offense that will score over 30 points. With that being said, I think the starting running back will get 1 touchdown in a game where there'll be over 30 points scored. I just think he has a game where he has 13 plus fantasy points. I think if you're starting Peyton Barber and you get 13 or more, you're stoked. Go ahead and start him. So, your second stardom for running back.
Well, since you said my boy from Tampa Bay, you kind of took it from me. I'm going to go on a limb and say Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
Because he's been on a kind of a roll lately, and why not just keep that momentum going and take him again? I see him getting at least 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah, against Atlanta, I see the Redskins offense doing well, so it's easy to see if they get in that red zone, if they get inside the 5, that they'll use Peterson to get in the end zone at least once. Heck, maybe he even catches a pass and gets in, just because that the Falcons' pass defense against running backs has been really bad. So I do like that play. You ready for my second stardom for running back, Jeff?
No, but I'll
Nick
try.
Chubb.
I kind of saw that coming.
High-scoring game. He's their goal line back. I see at least 1 touchdown for Nick Chubb. They're going to have to run the ball against the Chiefs. I don't think they want to get in a shootout. Ideally, they'll be within a score, and they can run the ball and throw if needed, but I just don't think they want Baker Mayfield to throw the ball 50 times in this game. He might have to, because that Chiefs offense could get out to a big lead, but I think they use Chubb early and often. I like him for at least 14 fantasy points, at least 70 yards and a touchdown on the day. So, do you have any more stardoms, or would you like to go to running back?
I have a big sit-em, though.
Go ahead.
McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy. Yep. I had him written down too. So I had Pearson for stardom too. So LaShawn McCoy, tell me why.
Just because this Bears defense is really good on the rush. Like, their passing, their secondary could get better, but their rushing defense is top-notch. And with this poor Bills offense, they're going to have him rush the ball a lot, but I don't think he's going to get any yards. I think he's going to go under 10 points.
It would be something if the Bears defense struggled in this game for some reason. Like, that would be as shocking as when the Bills beat the Vikings in week 2. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Like I said, I had him written down as well. How do you run against a Bears defense that is going to have everybody at the line of scrimmage? I just don't know. Would you like to hear my first sit-em?
Absolutely.
It's a twofer.
Okay.
Sit both of these guys, Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith, Falcons running backs. They've both
bench the Falcons team, basically.
They're running backs. The Redskins can be got in the secondary, but their run defense is very stout. Remember, they have put a hurt on running backs this year. They've limited Ezekiel Elliott. They've limited a number of running backs who've had terrible games against them. So Ezekiel Elliott had 5 fantasy points against the Redskins. If Elliott gets 5, what do you think Coleman and Smith are going to do? They both score under 10 points.
100 combined.
They both score under 10 points. I'd say they probably score 15 combined points. You don't want any one of those things. And we just got news that Ben Gosling of the Minnesota Star Tribune has reported that the Minnesota Vikings plan to play Dalvin Cook on Sunday. So,
well, then I'm just going to flip this table over and destroy the studio out of frustration.
Do you have any more sit-ems for running backs?
Latavius Murray. No. I still say start him because I think he's still getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah, it sounds like Cook will be on a snap count. So.
I don't know if anyone has him still, but Derrick Henry.
Oof. Yeah, probably not. But yeah, don't even put him on your roster, right? Or.
Yeah, but he's had an up and down season, to say the least. So I'm just saying sit him because he's just. I think he's on a downhill slope, and I don't think he's going back up.
One player that I think you need to sit as a running back is somebody who has burned you in the past, but you're tempted to play him because the matchup looks good, and that's Isaiah Crowell. The matchup looks good against Miami, but do not play him because he is too risky of a play.
225 yards rushing.
You know he just might because he's probably due for that, right? So
because that's how life works.
I say sit Isaiah Crowell. Save yourself the headache. If he gets 4 points, you'll absolutely be upset. Yes, you'll be upset too if he gets over 20.
If he does well.
He will not do well. He might score a touchdown, but
if he does well, all the blame goes to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
no problem. So let's
wait for a mob at your house later.
Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we have stardom, sit-em, wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses we'll do in the second segment. And, of course, in segment 3, we'll talk about the risky flex plays because of bye weeks. And we're going to tell you some players who might be in the deep bottom of the waiver wire that you might pick up, that might do well, that you need. You're up against the wall. We'll tell you who to pick.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Marc Souza, with Jeff Malinoff. We talked about the stardom and sit-em at the quarterback and running back positions, respectively, in segment 1. But now, we will transition to wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses that you can consider this week. Maybe players that you're on the fence about. We'll tell you, we'll convince you either way, whether you should play him or not play him. Jeff, would you like to start with the wide receiver that you are saying absolutely start this week? We know that this player might not be a slam dunk starter every week in lineups, but this week you'll like the play.
Well,
Who
this
is
guy
it?
was a first-round draft pick. Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Browns. Okay. He had a big game last week, yeah?
Yes, he did, and I think that's going to continue. I know the Browns' defense is stellar, but with the loss of all this Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley, all this drama that's happening with the Browns, I think this is not going to go well for the Browns, and I think Sammy Watkins is going to continue this momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And you didn't. I don't think you mentioned it, but Tyreek Hill's a little banged up. So
he ankle,
groin injury,
ankle, same thing.
Sounds like he's going to play and everything, but I mean, it might have some more targets going his way.
He's got to rest some more plays than usual, I believe.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my first stardom is Devin Funchess, wide receiver, Carolina Panthers. You're playing the Bucs defense. Do I need to say more than that? You're a wide receiver against the Bucs defense. That's it, right?
You should be fine.
Play Devin Funchess. He's still Cam Newton's favorite target, other than McCaffrey, of course. I like him to get at least one touchdown pass, at least 75 to 80 receiving yards. That's good for 15 fantasy points. Start Devin Funchess and start him with authority. So,
who's slam dunk?
Who's next for you, wide receiver? Start them.
To start them, I'm going to go Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Against New Orleans Saints. Just like you said about the Buccaneers, I've said the same thing about the Saints.
Yeah, I think if you have Brandon Cooks, you're starting him no matter what, right? Every week.
He has an off switch, though. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a...
Let me ask you this.
Be a dud.
Do you think he'll outscore Robert Woods, his counterpart?
Yes.
Do you think he'll outscore Cooper Kupp if he plays?
No.
Cooper Kupp sounds like he's going to play, at least if you believe Sean McVay. It'll be interesting to look for. So, okay. So my second wide receiver stardom is DJ Moore. Carolina. He's been getting more reps in the passing game. He's still a player that possesses a lot of physical skills. They like to get him the ball. They've handed the ball off to him. They've thrown him the ball. I like him to get at least one big play in this game, one long touchdown. I think he'll get over 10 fantasy points confidently, possibly more. DJ Moore. So,
okay. Makes sense.
Who's your next stardom at wide receiver?
Didn't you already do two?
You can do more, or you can.
That was. I just have.
I got two more stardoms.
Devontae
Parker against the Jets. Jets defense allows passes.
Well, okay, I have one too. Then I'll go Julian Edelman.
Okay, against the Packers. So Devontae Parker, I think if you need a player, he's available in most leagues. Pick him up. Kenny Stills might play for the Dolphins. He might not, but regardless, it's only Stills and Devontae Parker and Danny Amendola. The Jets give up a lot of points on the outside. Devontae Parker's coming off that big game. So, but you like Julian Edelman against the Packers?
Yeah, that Packers, after losing Clinton Dix, that secondary is going to be flawed big time.
Mm-hmm. I also like Traquan Smith. I think he is an interesting play if you're really desperate for a wide receiver. He's the number 2 receiver on the Saints. Should be a high-scoring game. Think you could do worse. So, how about Siddums, Jeff? I'll let you start. Siddums for wide receiver.
For Siddums, I'm going to go Mohamed Sanu.
Sanu, okay.
Because he's been disappointing me in my fantasy league, and I don't want him to disappoint others. And he's facing...
What a nice guy. Just thinking about the people.
And he's facing a pretty good team in the Redskins, and I just think he's not gonna get the ball as much as people think he is. If he goes if he's on the same side as Josh Norman, who's been playing actually pretty well, he won't be getting much of the ball. and I think it's just he's been kind of on a slump, and I think that slump is not going away anytime soon.
Yeah. My first sit-em is Thomas, sorry. Demaryius Thomas, the new wide receiver of the Houston Texans. Good player. I don't like him in his first week with a new team. He's facing his old team. I know that some people say you got to play him. He's going to score a touchdown. He's playing his old team, but who knows how many snaps he's going to play. Don't play him this week. Wait and see on him. Play him next week or the following week after that if he performs. But what if he has a really bad game or he's not playing as many snaps as you wish? You'd be very upset that you could have played somebody who would at least be in the game more often. So who's a sit-em for you?
He might be already on your bench, but Doug Baldwin.
That's interesting. Are you concerned with his knee and
his knee and the fact he's playing the Chargers defense, who's been playing absolutely fantastic? That's
true. Casey Hayward is their slot corner too. He's pretty good, so it will be a tough week for Doug Baldwin. I'm with you on that. My second sit-em is Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Cooper.
I agree with that one.
Amari Cooper, new team. You're going to see a trend here, Jeff. New team. Wait and see, especially the wide receivers. Wide receivers, learning the playbook is difficult. They're usually on snap counts. Running backs, it's an easier transition for players when they get traded, but I still think that for wide receivers, it's difficult. I think Amari Cooper, Demaryius Thomas, and then next week when Golden Tate plays, I think those are risky plays. I think you need to wait and see how they adapt to the offense first. Would you agree with that, or are you confident?
I agree. I think
there's just too much risk.
It's too soon. It's way too soon.
Yeah, so why don't we move on to tight ends, Jeff? Tight ends, who do you like starting this week? Maybe guys that are on the fringe. Maybe some guys that are questionable starters every week.
Well, the thing with the tight end is it's the most interesting position.
It's the hardest one to predict.
Yeah.
Very touchdown dependent most of the time.
But you know what? You're gonna call me crazy, but Greg Olsen.
I actually have him written down as a start too.
Do you really?
Yeah,
oh,
Greg
nice.
Olsen.
I mean, he's coming off an injury and he's been struggling and all this, and I'm just
playing against the Bucks.
Yeah,
he's playing against the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
I have Kyle Rudolph. Now, Rudolph, he's ranked 11 this week, depending on which site you use, which means he's a fringe starter, right? Like he's probably starting on your team because there's not too many options. But I like the matchup against Detroit. I think he'll have a good game. I don't know if he'll have a breakout game. Again, Minnesota has some great weapons. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Murray. It sounds like Dalvin Cook now will play. But I like Rudolph to score a touchdown this game. I think he'll score a touchdown. He'll reward fantasy owners. So, do you have a second stardom?
Yeah, I can put a second stardom up there. O.J. Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he was with Fitzpatrick, he was a go-to at points.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with Fitzpatrick back, I think you got to start him. See how he does.
Absolutely. My second stardom is Chris Herndon, tight end from New York Jets. He has scored a touchdown in every game his last 3 games. Now, he only had 2 targets last game, but he did save his day with a touchdown. There's just not that many options. If you got a guy on a bye week or you have somebody, I don't know. Like I'd much rather have him than a couple of the other 2 sit-ems that I have this week. But do you have any more tight end stardoms, or would you like to go to sit-ems?
Let's go to sit-ems. Do you have a sit-em?
I do.
Go for it.
Jordan Reed.
Okay.
I don't like his inconsistency. I do like the defense that he's playing against. So I can see why people would start him this week, because Atlanta, they have many different tight ends due to injuries. Or, excuse me, safeties due to injuries, defensive backs. And I can see why people would be excited about starting Jordan Reed. But with Vernon Davis there, with an offense that isn't terribly explosive, I just wouldn't start him. I say sit him. What about you, Jeff? Who do you have?
He may be on your bench still, but I'm going to say Antonio Gates.
So sit him, yeah?
Yeah, because the Seahawks have only given up like one touchdown for when it comes to receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see Antonio Gates getting that stat on his sheet against the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. My second sit-em is Vance McDonald. Again, a popular player, especially if you're looking for a tight end, if yours is on a bye. I just really don't see him having a good day against a tough Baltimore secondary. I think he can do a little bit better. Now watch, he has a big game. But why don't we...
yards receiving.
Yeah, why don't we go to a quick break? We come back. We'll talk about defenses. We'll talk about the defenses that we're picking up to start and the ones that we're sitting. I also have a defense that you should consider picking up. Even if you don't start them this week, you will absolutely want them on your roster for Week 10. I will tell you why. You can't miss it. We'll be right back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Of course, Mark Souza with Jeff Malinoff, talking about stardom and sit-ems for the week. We've gone through wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight ends. We're going to go to defenses. In this segment, we'll also talk about risky flex plays, guys that might be outside starting caliber rankings, just dart throws. Maybe in a deeper league, maybe all the running backs, wide receivers have kind of been picked through. But just guys that if you're this desperate, if some of the other guys that we mentioned before are not available, that you can turn to. So, Jeff, what's a defense that you are streaming this week?
Well, one of my main ones is the Washington Redskins.
Okay.
They're facing the Atlanta Falcons.
You're not worried.
They are averaging 32.2 points per game at home, but just 14.5 on the road.
Yes.
That's why. That's the key.
They're a different team on the road. I agree with that 100%. So you like the Redskins, who are very good run defense too, so they can pose some problems. I agree. My first streaming defense is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they
Shocker. I'm shocked.
are playing the Browns, right? Like, the Browns are in turmoil. We don't know if their new offensive coordinator will be good.
If they're called the Browns, why is their main color orange? Bum bum.
We don't know if the plays will be good. We don't know what to expect, really. But the Chiefs' defense has been playing better, and the fact is, when you're a defense for a team that's winning in most of the game, it's easier to play defense. It's easier to get offenses in tougher positions, get sacks, force turnovers. I like the Chiefs' defense this week. So, what about you? Do you have another stardom for defenses?
I can go one more.
Go ahead.
The Cowboys.
Dang it.
Was that yours?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, they've been solid overall this whole season, and they played better at home. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be one of those things like the Titans have allowed 3 sacks a game, and I think that's going to add on with this game.
Cowboys can definitely rush the passer, that's for sure. And the Titans' offense has just been craptacular this year.
Craptacular.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, that's true.
They've just been terrible. So Monday night at home, Cowboys defense, I like that play. All right, so Jeff, I'm going to tell you, if you don't have this defense on your roster right now, go get them. Like literally on your phone right now. This defense has been forgotten. This defense, if I told you that next week this defense could play against, well, if I told you that this defense was A, pretty good, and B, could play against Nathan Peterman next week, do I need to say any more? Go pick up the New York Jets defense now. If you don't have them in your league, you don't need a 5th running back or a 6th wide receiver on your roster. Set your defense up for next week.
Don't listen to me, he's crazy.
Jets defense against Nathan Peterman in New York, so
That's
it's a home game.
bold statement, sir.
What is bold? Starting a defense against Nate Peterman?
No, just trusting a team that's called the Jets.
Go get him. The defense is pretty good. They have a defensive head coach. Do it. Do it now. You'll regret it next week. If you don't and somebody else on the waiver wire picks him up in front of you, you'll be upset. You'll probably play that opponent. He'll get 3 pick sixes. You'll lose. You'll cry. So go get the Jets defense now. Do it now. So, defense, sit him. We did start him, Jeff. Sit him.
For sit him, I'm going with the Rams.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want to play the Saints, right?
Yeah. But they're still a good defense. Don't take anything away from them. But I think just they're playing a much better offense.
Yeah.
My other sit him is also the Saints for obvious reasons.
Yes. So, I think most people are avoiding those defenses. One defense that I think people are playing that I believe you shouldn't play is the Redskins. You said start them, and I understand the reasons that you had, and I agree with you. Something tells me that Julio Jones might have a good game, and something tells me that the offense for the Falcons will not be able to run the ball, but I think they might be able to pass the ball. I am a little wary of that. Jeff says start him. I say sit him. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Do you have another sit him, though?
No, just the Saints and the Rams. Those are my 2 big ones.
I have one more sit him.
Okay.
One more. The Chargers.
Ooh. That's actually pretty surprising.
They're a good defense, but they're in Seattle. Russell Wilson has been playing very well. The Seattle offense does not make too many mistakes. Since they run the ball so often, they don't throw a lot of passes, which means there's not a lot of chances for interceptions. Russell Wilson has been good about avoiding sacks. The running game has helped keep pass rushers off of Wilson. So I don't see a whole lot of opportunity for sacks and or interceptions. And it's a road game for the Chargers. So, with that being said, they're playing a smart quarterback on the road. Conservative offense. I say sit the Chargers defense. Don't fall into the trap. And avoid them at all costs. You can go even play the Jets. We just talked about the Jets defense being a great play for next week. Well, they play the Dolphins this week. They're not a bad play this week. I would rather play the Jets defense against Miami than the Chargers defense against Seattle. Would you agree with that?
Sure, why not?
All right, so let's talk about dart throws, Jeff. I don't know how good at darts you are. I'm assuming probably not very good, but, assumptions are what they are, right? So give me a risky play. Give me a risky play that you think will work out if you have the huevos to play this player.
You're going to think I'm mentally insane for saying this. But Vernon Davis.
I don't think that's insane.
Really?
Yeah, tell the people why.
Well, Alex Smith is his quarterback, right? And they worked really well together back in San Francisco, and they've connected with each other a couple of times right now in Washington. So I think there might be more to come. The chemistry is coming back, and I think he's going to get more and more options, at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think you should consider starting Cortland Sutton.
Okay.
He has been playing more than Demaryius Thomas has recently. Now Demaryius Thomas is gone, so we know that Sutton will inherit a larger role. I believe that the Broncos will have to throw a lot in this game. So you want Emmanuel Sanders, and I think Cortland Sutton will reward you if you play him. He has been a red zone threat too. He's scored touchdowns. I say he gets 60 to 70 yards. I think 60 yards will be the low for him and a chance to score a touchdown. I don't know if he'll have a huge game, but it would be a decent play this week if you absolutely need one. Do you have another risky play?
Running was my big risky one, but I can go riskier.
You can go riskier. You can go whatever you want.
You know what? I got one. Got one right here. Let's go with Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, okay.
He's been struggling a lot lately.
In behind O.J. Howard, so.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, once again, Fitzmagic, something could happen. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. I have a risky one.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
He hasn't been putting up a ton of points. It's certainly a risk now that Hugh Jackson is gone. But it's a game that the Browns might have to throw a lot in this game. He might reward you with a couple touchdown passes. He could get 20 points. Possibly even more, depending on how out of control this game gets for Cleveland. But I think he has to drop back probably 45 times. It's at least likely that it will happen. So, Baker Mayfield. What about you? Do you have any other players that you are considering?
You know what? Mike Davis.
Seattle's
running back, yes.
Behind Carson, okay.
Yeah. I just, some people you get a feeling that they're going to break out. This might be that feeling.
So you got a feeling.
Ooh.
I have
we're not doing that.
a feeling that Duke Johnson might have a big game for the Cleveland Browns. And I say that because
that's not a big one.
So hear me out, Jeff.
No.
The Browns will have to throw the ball a lot, and Nick Chubb is not a pass-catching back. Duke Johnson will get another chance with a new offensive coordinator. He will make some plays. He will make Hugh Jackson regret. Hugh and Todd Haley, he'll make them regret not playing him more. Duke Johnson, 6 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Boom. Do you have any other risky ones? I talked about one earlier that I want to reiterate. Traquan Smith, wide receiver Saints. He's the Ted Ginn of that offense now. We saw him get 111 yards and 2 touchdowns just a couple weeks ago. It's going to be a shootout with the Rams. He's a player that they might focus just a little bit less on than Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. He could get a long one. I like him to have over 10 fantasy points.
I got another one. Okay, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something about flex. Should Taysom Hill be a flex player?
I wouldn't do it, but I understand.
But is he eligible for a flex?
I don't believe so.
He's still a quarterback.
No, he's not.
But should he be allowed to be a flex player?
I would say so.
He returns passes. He runs with it. He's a receiver also. He does everything. So why won't that give them the opportunity to put him as a flex player?
Mm-hmm.
That's just my...
Yeah, it is. He should. I agree. He should be a flex player because he's like a wildcat running back quarterback. So, any other dart throws that you'd like to talk about?
I'm good.
All right, cool. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to do our favorite segment of the week. We do it every Friday. We didn't do it last Friday because Jeff was on vacation, but he's not.
I wasn't on vacation. I was at a wedding.
That's the same thing. Weddings are fun.
Weddings are a big deal.
You're out of town. It was vacation. So we're going to talk about our favorite segment, and we pick our teams, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex. And then we go through the weekend. On Monday, we tally it up. We see who wins. We do it for push-ups. I think we're at 30 push-ups now, right? Because it was 20 last time.
I thought we were doing by 5.
Okay. We can do 25. That works.
I thought that's how we were doing it.
Cool. So we'll do that right after this.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the last segment of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We're doing our epic draft for push-ups bet that we do every week. Since I won last time, I'm giving him the first pick, and we had to go in order from quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive player. Or no,
So all players are eligible except for the Monday night game. All games that are played on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, quarterback. I will start off, Jeff. I'm going to take Cam Newton. Give me Cam Newton against that Buccaneers defense. I like him this week. He has a chance to really go off through the air, through the run. I think he'll total at least 4 touchdowns by himself, running and passing. I just like him to have over 300 yards against that defense. That offense should be humming along. I liked what I saw against the Ravens last week. A really tough defense. Now they get an easier defense at home. What do you think of my Cam Newton pick?
I don't like it because I'm going with Jared Goff.
But you like Cam Newton, right? You think he'll have a good game?
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not?
Jared Goff, go ahead.
It's a very poor New Orleans Saints secondary. Why not take him?
Should be a shootout. I agree. He is definitely a viable candidate for having a good game. So you like Jared Goff?
And I get running back now.
Is there any reason, though, that you should be concerned about Jared Goff? Like, do you think Gurley might eat into his production?
Well, I honestly think they'll get an even what's the word? An even number of
split
yeah.
or something.
And when it comes to the running back, I am going with Kareem Hunt.
God.
Is that who you wanted? I can't pick Gurley and Goff.
That's fine. Yeah, you got Kareem Hunt?
Are we doing 2 wide receivers?
No, we do 1.
And then 1 flex.
Yes. So,
And tight end.
so you got Kareem Hunt. Keep talking.
Oh, well, he's been on a hot streak lately. He's been playing extremely well, and he's playing a Cleveland Browns team that doesn't really have an identity anymore. Yes, they're great at turnovers, but those turnovers mainly come from interceptions. So instead of taking the quarterback and risking those interceptions and losing points, I'm going to take the running back and go with the safe pick there.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty safe. Well, if you're going Goff and Hunt, then I have to go Gurley. I have to do it. I didn't want to do it, but I have to do it.
Yes, you do.
Todd Gurley. And I hope he hands the ball. Or I hope Goff hands him the ball, not throws him the ball, so then I get all the points. So, I got Todd Gurley. So now we're on wide receiver, and I get to pick first. Is that right?
Cool.
You know who I'm going to take.
I think I have a feeling who it's going to be.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Keenan Allen.
I got a feeling
God damn it.
that tonight's gonna be.
All
All right. Here's my reasoning.
Do you need a reason?
Consistent, terrible cornerback. Slot corner is Detroit's fatal flaw on defense. Thielen's got to continue his 100-yard streak. He just gotta. He's got to get 100 yards and a TD at least, in my opinion. So that's what I'm going with, Jeff. Who do you got for wide receiver?
Get ready for this.
Are you ready for this?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, I like that. DeAndre, I catch everything that's catchable. Hopkins.
Even though they don't count it for a stupid penalty.
Okay.
Do I need to explain this pick? Because it's pretty straightforward of why I pick him.
Go ahead and explain it. Tell me why he's more valuable to you this week, though. Like, obviously he's great, but you like the matchup?
Because of the Demaryius Thomas trade, Denver is going to be concentrating more on Thomas, and they're going to be looking at him as a dual threat to Hopkins, and where Hopkins is going to take advantage of that and get more one-on-one matchups, and where he can make plays. Where he's best is a one-on-one matchups, because he cannot be covered one-on-one. That's why I'm going with him, because the one-on-one matchups, everyone he's going to play is going to be a mismatch against Denver.
Yeah. I mean, he's always a good play, but I can see why he'd be a really good play this week. All right, so we're moving on to tight end?
Yes.
You know who I'm taking.
Well, it's my pick.
Is it?
Yeah, you picked wide receiver.
Okay, go ahead.
I wish I could pick George Kittle because he had a great game. But, wait, who are you thinking about picking?
It's your pick?
See, I don't want to go with... do I want to go with him? It's a tough one. Give me Gronk.
You want Gronk?
Yeah, he's playing, right?
He is. He will be playing against Packers on Sunday Night Football. All right, well, I thought you were going to take this guy for sure. I'll take Kelsey.
I already have Hunt. I don't want same players, same teams.
All right, so I got Kelsey. And now we're on to flex plays. Is that right?
Yes, this is yours.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It's very interesting. We can't take Ezekiel Elliott because he's playing Monday night. I can, however, take Michael Thomas.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I said I could.
You said...
I said I could. But...
You pick McCaffrey again?
Oh, God. He really... Yes, give me Michael Thomas. I'm taking Michael Thomas. Who do you have?
Melvin Gordon, baby.
You like Melvin Gordon?
He's starting, right?
He should be. He's on the injury report, but he should be playing. He's had a week off.
Should we have replacement for injury people, like you said, to have?
I think we should. Okay. I really do, because when Melvin Gordon didn't play that 1 week, it really hurt me. Like, it screwed me over. Yeah. So, all right. Give me your substitution running back and substitution wide receiver. Both tight ends. Gronk is playing.
He's starting. He's officially starting. My backup running back, James Conner.
Connor?
Yeah. And take my backup right.
Hold on. I get to take a backup. My backup running back, for some reason, Gurley's going to play. I don't think any of my players are really on an injury risk, but I guess McCaffrey will be my sub if Gurley is sick, if he gets the flu. How about that? So, okay. Who else do you have?
For my wide receiver, I'm just going to say Julio Jones is my backup.
Julio Jones. Okay. And then for me, I'll go with Devontae Adams.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, all these players should play. So again, we'll go down the teams. Jeff, here is your stud team of the week. I don't know what you're going to call these guys, but...
Ooh, I like the stud teams. Let's call them our stud teams.
You have Goff, Hunt, Hopkins, Gronk, Gordon. And then my team is Cam Newton, Todd Gurley, Thielen, Kelsey, Michael Thomas. Should be good. I like these matchups. I think we're going to have a lot of points between the two teams. You think you're going to win, huh?
Absolutely. It's going to be 3 in a row, baby.
Is it 3 in a row?
I've won the last 2.
We've done 3?
Yes.
I don't think we've done.
This is our third one.
Because you weren't here last week, so.
Yeah, so I've won the last 2.
I won last week. You got 0
There
points.
there was no game. You can't do that.
You got 0.
You didn't. Did you pick a team?
Yeah. You just have to listen to my podcast, and you can
God, who
subscribe.
would want to listen to just one person like Marc Souza talking?
I
all
think
day?
we're done here,
Gosh.
though. Join us on Monday as we go over these players. We go over our teams. We go over the starts and sits. See who was off. See who was right. See which players we nailed and which ones we didn't. So we'll see you. Have a great weekend. Have a great fantasy football weekend. Of course, remember, if one of your players doesn't do well, you still have other players that can go off.
Don't blame us for your mistakes, but have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.